The many twists and turns of the Murdaugh family murder case have sparked many theories and much speculation. In this video, I will outline the 5 most popular theories that have come to light around this case. But first, here is a quick summary of the case itself. It all started with the murders of Maggie Murdaugh and her son Paul Murdaugh, who were shot to death in June 2021 on their property in South Carolina. One was killed with a shotgun and the other with an assault rifle. Paul had been awaiting trial for the 2019 death of 19-year-old Mallory Beach in a boating accident where he was accused of driving whilst drunk. He had pleaded not guilty and was released on a $50,000 bond. In September, Paul's father, Alex, was shot in the head by a hitman that he had allegedly hired himself because he wanted to leave $10 million in insurance to his surviving son, Buster. Alex survived this, then went into rehab for opioid addiction, and was later charged with 48 counts of financial crimes valuing $6.2 million, including some related to the family housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield, who had died in 2018 under suspicious circumstances. Alex's bond was placed at $7 million. It all honestly sounds like the plot of an outrageous TV drama. It's hard to believe that this is all a devastating reality. This case has resulted in many theories, both believable and outlandish. Now let's discuss some of the most popular theories surrounding this elaborate case. The first theory is that this was some form of retaliation from an enemy of the family. It's easy to imagine all sorts of revenge plots and underhanded dealings related to the Murdaugh case, particularly regarding Alex and his father's law firm. If the financial crime charges against Alex are true, then it's reasonable to assume that someone could be after the family. The sons of the Murdaugh housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield alone, who died on Murdaugh premises due to a slip and fall, reportedly still haven't been paid $505,000 in damages. Many people would have lost significant amounts of money because of Alex, and it is possible one of these people would take this as a reason enough to get their revenge. Alex left his firm after going to rehab for opioid abuse after allegedly hiring hitman Curtis Edward Smith to stage his murder. In an attempt to commit insurance fraud, Smith stated that he was never hired to kill Alex, only to show up on September 4th. On the spot, Smith said Alex demanded that Smith shoot him. They supposedly wrestled for Smith's gun, and it went off and grazed Alex's head. If this is true, then this would give those around Smith potential motive to want to see Alex harm. Alternatively, it could be that someone took revenge on the Murdaugh family not because of Alex's legal dealings, but for the 2019 death of Mallory Beach, the girl who died as a result of Paul's drunken boat driving. The second theory is that Alex had in fact murdered his housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. On the same day, the South Carolina law enforcement divisions arrested Alex's alleged hitman. They also opened an investigation into the death of the Murdaugh housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. The investigation was opened at the request of the Hampton County coroner, who reported a bunch of suspicious circumstances regarding Satterfield's death. According to the media, her death was never actually reported to the coroner's office. Also, despite her cause of death being reported as natural due to her tripping and falling, which is hardly a natural cause of death if you ask me, no autopsy was ever conducted. On top of this, as mentioned before, her sons claimed that they never received their $505,000 settlement after their mother's death. People have theorized that the whole Murdaugh murder case supposedly started because Satterfield learned something incriminating about Alex's host of shady legal dealings. Or perhaps she learned some dark family secrets related to a potential divorce, Alex's opioid abuse, or any host of other things. Some people theorize that Alex then killed her, which set off a cycle of retribution and revelation, resulting in the present circumstances. In this scenario, Maggie and Paul are innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire of Alex's illegalities and poor decisions. And Paul's boating while intoxicated incident becomes an unhappy coincidence. I must admit this theory seems a little less plausible to me personally, but I would be interested to hear your thoughts below. The third theory is that Alex murdered his wife and or son. This is probably the most popular theory surrounding the Murdaugh family murders and centres on Alex himself killing his wife and son. This theory sidesteps Alex's apparent grief following their deaths. Rather than being a victim of family tragedy, opioid addiction, and prone to terrible decision-makings at his law firm, Alex becomes either a sociopathic murderer or an accidental killer. This theory centres around Maggie and Paul being killed by two different weapons, which is admittedly strange. What murderer carries around a shotgun and a machine gun and swaps between the two between kills? The presence of a hunting lodge on the Murdaugh family property where Maggie and Paul were killed could give credence to this theory. The theories on how he was involved in their murder are: A. Alex hired someone to murder his wife and son and tag-teamed. B. Alex hired someone to murder either Maggie or Paul and killed the second person accidentally or intentionally himself. C. Alex didn't hire someone but was on the property, perhaps in the hunting lodge, ran out after some shots were fired and accidentally shot Maggie and or Paul himself. The only problem, the police say his alibi is airtight for that day. The fourth theory is that Alex is covering up for his other son, Buster. The next theory regarding the Murdaugh family murders centres on the surviving son and sole heir of the Murdaugh fortune, 25-year-old Buster. As it turns out, Paul wasn't the only Murdaugh son involved in a vehicle-based death. In 2015, Buster was implicated in the hit-and-run death of 19-year-old Stephen Smith. Smith was found dead on Sandy Run Road, 15 miles from the Murdaugh hunting lodge. At the time, the police stated that Smith had run out of gas and was walking home when he was hit by a car. However, South Carolina Highway Patrol stated that there was no vehicle debris, skid marks, or injuries consistent with someone being struck by a vehicle. Rather, the Hampton County coroner stated that Smith had been shot in the head. So, how does Buster fit into all of this? Police received an anonymous tip stating that Buster ought to be looked into because he and Smith were romantically involved. Smith was openly gay, and his mother believed her son was killed in a hate crime because of his sexual orientation. Buster supposedly had Smith killed or killed Smith himself to cover up their relationship. The theory is that this set off a chain of cover-ups and mistakes that led to Maggie and Paul's murders. At present, police have opened an investigation into Smith's death. The fifth and last theory is that the whole thing is a cover-up for something else. The final theory regarding the Murdaugh family murders is quite vague, but it might have crossed many people's minds already. It centres on Alex's opioid addiction, rehab, and supposed suicide for hire. Specifically, what if Alex's self-hired hitman, Curtis Edward Smith, was lying about not being instructed to kill Alex? In this scenario, Smith and Alex worked together to stage an attempted assisted suicide gone wrong. Alex got hurt enough to go to the hospital, admit to an opioid dependency, relieve pressure a bit, and when he went into rehab, he used the time to swab clean some of the dirty dealings he'd been doing. According to this theory, Alex's whole opioid abuse problem was a lie, removing the possibility that Murdaugh housekeeper Gloria Satterfield was killed by Alex to cover his addiction. The focus would be brought back on Alex's legal woes and 48 charges of forgery, money laundering, breaches of trust, and so forth. Both Paul's boating while intoxicated incident and Buster's involvement in Stephen Smith's supposed hit and run become either completely irrelevant or integral to some financial cover-up on Alex's part. This theory, however vague, may hint at a potentially even bigger crime that is going on behind the scenes that Alex is attempting to hide. Something so big that he may even be willing to take the fall for these murders. It is an intriguing thought, but seems quite unlikely in my opinion. It's easy to get wrapped up in these theories and many unusual circumstances that surround this case. But for now, all we can do is continue to follow the case and hope that justice is eventually served. I am very interested to hear your thoughts and theories on this case in the comments below. Do you think any of the theories discussed are plausible, or do you think they all seem too far-fetched? I will continue to follow this case and come back with an update soon. Until then, take care, friends.